Western Spring Television, ours it is.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. You're welcome to another edition of Morning Spring, where we talk about everything important issues that has to do with the public. That's what we do here. Policy, politics, governance, from A to Z, geared towards making us a better people, a better nation, holding leaders, even followers accountable in every capacity that we occupy. These are the kind of conversations that we have here on the program. Firstly, we look at the headlines. At the other side of that, then get talking about these issues. Femi Ojo is my name. Thank you for sticking with us. All this why I don't do this alone. Evelyn is there. Good morning, Evelyn.
Good morning, Femi. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning to the entire world. Welcome on board to another edition. It is the Thursday edition of Morning Spring. And looking at the word spring, it's, encapsulates a whole lot of things: abundance, plenty, freshness. And we wish you all of that this Thursday, the rest of this week, and the rest of this month of March. My name is Evelyn Ohiolei. Welcome on board.
Welcome on board. By the way, quickly before the headlines, let's inform you, you can watch us live right now on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television, of course, and on all the social media platforms. You have the address on your screen, on X, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And of course, we are on Star Times, channel 190 TTT. This is where we say us it is. Talking about things that happened the last 24 hours, we've got the information, Evelyn, that the NFIU, as the National Financial Intelligence Unit of Nigeria, that's the agency that seeks to how money comes in and goes out, talking about intelligence-wise in Nigeria, that they have been, reportedly, that have been able to list some persons and businesses termed to be financiers of terrorism in Nigeria. And chief among those names is the renowned Tukomamu. You know, Tukomamu, he was arrested. He was bandit negotiator.
Yeah.
You know, he was very popular at those times, before he was extradited from Egypt back to Nigeria. And the name has surfaced again with other names and other businesses that are bureau de change operators. So it means maybe some of these business entities might not just be for financial gains. They are set up as, small screen for terrorism financing. And someone will say, maybe we are getting there. Maybe we are getting to discuss and talk about those difficult conversations as far as terrorism and their financiers are involved in Nigeria.
Yeah, it's a welcome development, Femi, and it's one that we should applaud and hope that it will not just be just listing the names or listing the businesses, but also prosecuting these people and ensuring that if they are found guilty, they pay for their actions, they pay for their sins. So it's not just about naming names, it's about what are we going to do with these names. You know, the agencies involved, the EFCC, the ICPC, the Nigeria Police, and all the other security agencies should actually be on top of the situation and ensure that
the judiciary.
Exactly, and ensure that these people pay if they are found guilty, pay
after having
for their actions. So it's a good one, a welcome development. For the Bureau de Change, I mean, there was a time the CBN was trying to close down some Bureau de Change and ensure that, okay, these are the ones that we are going to work with. And I saw some names and I was like, what kind of name is this? You know, I think I saw rice and beans, some funny names.
Are you sure they are not just, Nigerians catching cruise? Are they real business names?
Real business names.
Yeah.
Rice and beans, Garden of Eden, other names that you wonder, how did this person sit down and actually come up with these names, if this person is not actually joking. I mean, but then this is a welcome development, and we hope for more of this to come.
Yeah, you remember, I think we said it yesterday, that under President Muhammadu Buhari, you know, were some countries, especially the UAE, sent us list of terrorism financiers, and those names were never made public under that government. We don't know, maybe they are the same people right now. And, you know, so two things, many persons will say, maybe we are getting to see some departure from the past with what we have with this Tinubu government, who appears so far to be responsive. That doesn't mean they have a solution, but they are talking about some of these issues, number one. And number two, there are some persons who are pessimistic to say, this is a government that knows how to keep people talking. They just give you something to talk about. You agree?
Yes. I mean, I've always given it to this Tinubu's administration that they are responsive. Yeah. Now, responsible is what I do know. I cannot give to them. But
they might be responsive and not responsible.
So, you know, they are responsive to situations. Whenever issues come up, they, you know, their spokesperson talking about it. The president is also talking about it. So,
either it's tenable or not, is another
but you, at least you know that this issue, the government is aware. And like you said, it's a big departure, you know, from what we had in during the Buhari's administration, where the president will tell you he's unaware. But we have a CNC who is aware.
His handlers then will tell you it's not his style. He doesn't have to talk.
Do you get? So I think this is a great departure from what we had in the past. And now it's not just about them being responsive alone, but also being responsible and bringing solutions to issues. That's what the people want. That's what the citizens
want.
want.
Them giving us something to cheer about or to talk about, you think is intentional?
I don't have, I can't say about that. Yes, it may be, it may not be, because they know Nigerians like to talk. We like to react to issues. So they just give, probably, I mean, I'm not saying categorically, but probably they just throw some
something that looks
situations
like
around and just let people talk about it for the next 2 weeks. Another after that 2 weeks elapsed, we go again. We throw. It's just like a cycle. So I'm not saying that's what it is.
I understand. You know, we are just mirroring, you know, the breath and the thought of the society. We'll go on this break. When we come back, with delve straight to what the papers are saying. Stay with us. All right, this is the headline segment, and we have quite a few newspapers to touch today. I will start with the Punch. Punching it straight from here. Today, Naira rebounds to 1,400 Naira per dollar as speculators offload Forex. Naira rebounds to 1,400 Naira per dollar as speculators offload Forex. And riders here says Naira appreciates at parallel official market. Operators foresee 1,200 Naira per dollar in weeks. CBN tightens noose on currency speculators, completes payment of $7 billion for its backlogs. And I saw this news about CBN paying back $7 billion in Forex backlogs. I feel like, okay, maybe CBN is showing some workings at this time, and it's a positive one, by the way. Let's give it to that. We hope is made consistent. The gains we are making right now, and especially the Naira rebounding, is kept consistent like that. And then these are sad pictures of burnt story buildings. It has to do with people's investment, people's goods, and where they provide service being burnt. Neymar blames water scarcity as fire raises 4 Lagos buildings. How? Are they saying scarcity of water that caused the fire, or scarcity of water is what made possibly the handlers not to be able to arrest the situation on time? But these are excuses that belong to the 1990s, Evelyn. It doesn't belong to 2024 at all, talking about preparedness. Or sometimes, you know, the way these markets are even jam-packed, it's not easy for some of these ambulances to get there on time, but we commiserate with the people, you know, that are affected. LP demands NLC president arrest over party secretariat invasion. That's one trouble that is brewing already. The NLC picketing Labour Party secretariat for one thing or the other. Lagos transporters accuse OP Mesa officers of extortion and harassment. Senate names committee room after late Olubadan. Interesting. He used to be a part of the assembly, by the way. Tinubu pushes 60 million naira annual pay for Supreme Court justices. Delta bloodbath. Senate meets service chiefs as troops comb creeks. And federal government varsity workers meeting deadlocked. Unions continue strike. This is not good. National Assembly passes student loan bill, proposes jail for defaulters. So you got to think twice before you apply for these. We'll talk about that in the course of the program. That's all that the Punch asked for us in its front page.
All right, for Nigerian Tribune, the front page of Nigerian Tribune for this morning, soldiers' killings. Senate service chiefs in closed-door meeting. Kingpin behind Delta killings will soon be apprehended. CDS says Abia Assembly repeals law giving pensions to ex-governors, deputies. That story is on page 25 of Nigerian Tribune for today. And Femi, and I think this is one that we should applaud greatly.
Yeah.
We know that government complain about paucity of funds to execute projects, but then you see ex-governors, ex-deputy governors who are still being paid humongous amounts, you know, for working for 4 years, 8 years.
8 years maximum. And
you see some of them, some of these governors and deputy governors, they are in another office, another public office, probably as a senator or as a minister, and they are getting paid as, you know, for their pensions as governors and deputies, and they are still getting paid presently as senators or ministers. But this one, Abia...
all being paid for by the Nigerian people.
Exactly. So, but this one from Abia State, by the Abia Assembly, it is commendable. It is really, really commendable. And I like the fact that Abia State is in the news for the right reason, or has been in the news for the right reason.
Consistent.
Exactly. So this is applaudable. Away from that, Access Bank to acquire National Bank of Kenya. All right, get that story on page 6. Importers of dairy products can now, importers of dairy products can now access Forex, says CBN. Owners of properties on Circular Road Corridor will be compensated, coming from Oyo State government. NPC members list challenges facing Nigeria's economy. Say most are outside remit of monetary policy. And Jakpa nurses sue council, health minister, others over implementation of new guidelines. Top corner of Nigerian Tribune for today, NAS passes student loan bill. And NLC pickets Labour Party headquarters demands Abure's resignation. And CJN to receive 5.39 million naira, Supreme Court justices 4.21 million naira monthly. Other judges get review as NAS approves salary increment. A win for the judiciary there. And that will be all from the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, from the Nigerian Tribune to the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper. Controversy trails leaked list of terrorist financiers. Again, controversy trails a leaked list of terrorist financiers with a couple of riders here. NFIU disowns memo. Interesting. 4 of 6 indicted BDCs not registered with CAC. Case already in court. Government officials. Sometimes it appears that you don't even know who is saying what and who is responsible for what. But, you know, as it comes, we'll let you, our people, know. Breakdown of terrorism financiers in Nigeria. You have it there, 15 criminals identified. And, you know, the individuals, bureau de change operators, and then, you know, a couple of other things. You might want to pick up a copy of the Daily Trust for these. And varsity union strike. Exams stalled in BUK. Lectures disrupted in others. Laboratories, libraries, ICT centers short. Student dies in Ekiti. How? Why? You know, Daily Trust asked that. That's a sad one. Varsity union strike. Exams stalled in BUK. Lectures disrupted in others. You know, for those non-academic staff, the SANU, NASU, those who have one thing or the other to do. You know, we spoke to someone in the know on Monday, Comrade Abdul Sabul, who is the vice president of SANU West on Monday, when he said these are people that hold essential, that performs essential services, professionals who does essential services in you know, schools, school clinic, the security, the laboratory, the Senate building, you know, and these are the issues. But it's sad we are hearing that a student has died in Ekiti. We don't know how, we don't know why. Top strip, reps raise CGN's monthly pay to 5.3 million naira. Supreme Court justices 4.2 million naira. 193 billion naira intervention loans declared lost by CBN. Who lost it? We're not talking about a pin here. 193 billion naira intervention loans declared lost by the CBN. Better be found. While I will not negotiate with bandits, Governor Rada, I would like to tell Governor Rada, it's better you don't allow your people to be kidnapped in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not about just talking tough.
Where you won't pay.
It's about doing the right thing so you do not have to pay for ransom. Yeah. You know, these are people, human beings in the den of these captors. And
why not say I will never allow my people to be kidnapped? Abducted.
You know, and if you're not going to pay for ransom, then ensure that you keep them safe. And the ones that have been abducted, you bring them back home safe. I mean, that's how to send the signal to these captors.
This grandstanding that leaders are doing, you won't pay.
It's not just about political rhetoric. The way to actually send a strong signal to these captors, these abductors, is for you to let them know that you cannot mess with my people and go scot-free. That's just
not only because you won't pay. Don't pay, but keep your people safe. That's all.
To the Vanguard newspaper for this morning. Killings. Troops come Bayelsa Delta Creeks for militant leader. Couple of riders here. Demolition of buildings in Okwama continues. Senate Joint Committee holds meeting with service chiefs. Killing of soldiers. Inhumane. Devilish, says IYC. Delta Assembly condemns killings, calls for thorough investigation. CDD asks FG to address deteriorating civil-military relations. Niger Delta host communities condemn killings, warns culprits brought to justice. Remind warring communities of Odi's sad experience. And Urobo youths urge FG to bring killers to book. One thing that is common in all of this riders this morning is for the culprits to be brought to book. Away from that, still on the Vanguard newspaper for this morning, CBN declares, or CBN clears valid foreign exchange backlog. And salary structure for judicial officers, CJN to earn 5.4 million naira monthly. NLC, Labour Party locked in supremacy battle. And hardship, palliatives not reaching Nigerians. Catholic Church tells FG. The palliatives are not, reaching the people that it's supposed to reach, the people for which it was created for. That's what the Catholic priest and the Catholic Church, rather, is telling the federal government. Still on the Vanguard newspaper, all right, that particular news I took earlier on. Access Bank acquires National Bank of Kenya. All right, a big one there. And just for laughs, Mr. and Mrs. Mrs. telling Mr. just because I gave our neighbor some uncooked rice, you started shouting at me. You were not like this when I married you. And Mr. with a response, the economy was not like this when you married me. You know, things are not the same. You know, Mr. telling Mrs., you know, I'm not telling you not to be kind, but please do it with some reason and wisdom.
Be considerate, especially at this time. Interesting one there. You know, when I saw the news that a bank in Nigeria is, acquiring another in
Kenya.
where's in
Kenya.
I just thought to myself, Evelyn, isn't it high time you and I, brought out some money to acquire some of these, some of these banks here
Small,
and
small
there.
billions, sir.
Few billions here and
Small,
there.
small billions here and there.
Yeah, yeah. But for security reasons, we have the conversation later.
Yeah.
And I think that's all on the headline segment for this morning. What we do right now is to take a short break. When we come back, we speak to education and financing of education. Yesterday, last week rather, the federal government sent an executive bill, by the president to the National Assembly for a repeal of the student loan bill. And yesterday, a senator spoke on the matter that this bill needs to be amended. Few things need to be done with it. And a member of the National Assembly brought it up, first reading, second reading, third reading, and then it was passed. It was an expedited one. And by the way, the repeal is completed. The student loan bill, after might have been signed by the president, will become a law. So we speak to the nitty-gritty today, especially to the prospective beneficiaries, the students. I'll be speaking and talking with a couple of them today on the program. Please stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. The conversation, as I said earlier, before the break, is about the student loan scheme proposed when President Tinubu came into power, by the way. And, the promise was made. There was a takeoff date that was given a couple of times. But at the end of the day last week, it was supposed to take off last Thursday, but then maybe the handlers realized there are some bottlenecks in which some persons have complained about, by the way, in that scheme. It is geared towards financing of tertiary student education, having an access to loan, for them to have the education financed basically. And so when they are through, they could just pay up so that every indigent student will have a shot at education. So the bill was resent to the National Assembly for a repeal, and that was done yesterday after the first, second, and third reading. And the chairman of the committee, on the tertiary institutions and third fund, Muntari Denduse, presented the report during the plenary, and then it was expeditiously, attended to. And pursuant to Section 58, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, I forward herewith the Student Loan Access to Higher Education Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2024 for the kind consideration of the House, both at the upper chamber. It was done at the Green Chamber as well. So as it stands, it has been passed, waiting for the assent of the president. And so many persons are asking what has changed and the date that this scheme will take off right now, which of the sessions with this made, which people will be attended to in the scheme. Universities, polytechnics, colleges of education. In fact, there has been some call that students of private institutions too should be considered in that. And after the bill was done yesterday, part of the change that was made, talk about the bottlenecks of before, that a particular family must have a financial threshold of so amount. But let me just take some of the alterations or some of the things that has been done on that particular one before I bring in the stakeholders for today that I'll be talking to you. I talked about the beneficiary, prospective beneficiaries being the student. Okay. The Senate President, Godzilla Pabio, last week referred to that bill, and after it was done, now, chief among some of those things is this: the removal of the family income threshold as a condition for applying for the student loan. Before, there is an amount that the family must be making, or the guarantor must be making, or must not pass on a particular, I think 500,000 naira per year or thereabout. And then it also removed the guarantor requirement so that students can apply for and receive loans subject to application and identity verification guidelines as provided by the fund. Besides, student applicants can no longer be disqualified based on their parents' loan history. Before, if your parent is a serial defaulter, you might not be considered. So that's more like the children or the wards paying for what they are sins of their parents. So some of these bottlenecks have been removed. But then there is a caveat. Every defaulter, if you are defaulting after some time, yeah, the person might be going to jail. It's as simple as that. So at this point, I bring in Tobi Olanipekun. He is a final year student of Federal University of Technology, Akure. He joins us live from Akure. Tobi, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, very fine. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and also on the line we have Gbemisola, Aluko, Cecilia, of the Federal Polytechnic Ed here in Osun State. Gbemisola, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, thank you for joining us. Yeah, let me start with the lady. Gbemisola, what is your assessment of this scheme? President Tinubu talk about his love for education, and he says everyone, every Nigerian child, we have a shot, we have an access to education. That's why he's doing this. So there has been some bottlenecks, and it has been removed, and the workability is what we are talking about today. You and other Nigerian students are the prospective beneficiaries of these. So what's your assessment of the scheme so far?
Well, I think we can follow that because there are two things that define so hard.
Gbemisola, I think the network is a bit down. You might have to hold on. Maybe we'll talk to Tobi Loba first while we attend to your part of the service. Tobi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, yeah. While we attend to how to get a better feed of Gbemisola, what is your assessment of this scheme so far? The proposal, the repeal of the bill, the National Assembly has passed it, but looking through, what's your response to it?
All right, thank you. I feel like it's a good one. I was actually a bit relaxed when I saw the topic on the Senate yesterday that passed the enactment, because the many conditions that were attached to the bill that was passed last year was very, very confusing and then disturbing, because we know the realities of grants. Seeing these conditions removed or relaxed is actually very good to me. But as a Nigerian student, I'm actually just very bothered with how the implementation is going to be. But I have quite some reservations. I still don't understand why the federal government still needs to create a body that's male fund to manage it. We are at a point in the country where we are talking about reducing the cost of governance, margin agencies. The president is currently considering the Orensai report. We talked about all of these things. So why not? I understand that giving a CBN that role that was included in the bill last year may not go well. But what about other agencies? What about tech funds itself? And what about other agencies that are able to actually manage it instead of creating, a new one? So I'm quite bothered about that because it goes against what we heard that the federal government wants to do regarding, the margin of agencies and all of that. And then, I'm also worried about, how well this initiative will be monitored because, if you have many issues that are applying across agencies, and I hope this will not also affect, this particular initiative because it is critical to the future of the country. It's very good because it gives everybody the level playing ground, like every student the level playing ground. But at the same time, what are we going to do regarding ensuring that we do not have people siphoning these funds and making them available? How do we hope to tackle corruption at a particular level? And then also, are there plans to ensure that there is no late disbursement of these funds to students who apply for these loans and all of that? What are the structures in place? I mean, I feel like after this whole thing, they need to come out, the federal government needs to come out and explain how this is going to work. We need the practical insight to how the bill is going to work. And then I hope this initiative is not going to be like a tool in the hands of politicians, where they tend to allot close to their political friends and allies and all of that. Denying, thereby, on the long run, denying, the ordinary Nigerian the ability to access bills. The conditions that been removed are fine and all of that, but these are genuine concerns as well. And then I feel like the last thing that I would also love to touch as my assessment of this whole thing is how the federal government is hoping to rein on institutions to ensure that this does not give them, that freedom to keep increasing, school fees and tuition fees and all of that. Because even before the bill came into existence and all of that, we have, schools across the country, increasing at an alarming rate and all of that. So I hope this will also not be like an avenue for them to keep increasing every session and keep the debt piling up on the part of the students because we will be at the receiving end at the end of the day.
All right, thank you, Tobi Eloba, for that insightful submission of yours. You've been able to look at it in all. And by the way, we'll talk about some of the bottlenecks that have been removed. And it says, as it stands, with that amendment that has been done to it, the removal of the family income threshold as a condition of applying for the student loan is no more there. Now, it also removed the guarantor requirement so that students can apply for and receive loans subject to application and identity verification guidelines provided by the fund. The former bill has it that you must have maybe civil servant of a particular grade level vouch for you, and many persons will be wondering, for persons in the village who don't have such a people, around them, what do they do? And it established a justice and fairness provision mandating the board to ensure a minimum national spread of loans approved and disbursed in each financial year. And it says student applicants can no longer be disqualified based on their parents' loan history. These are some of the consideration that has been made, to this particular bill. And on the repayment of loans, the bill indicated that the repayment shall begin as soon as the beneficiary becomes employed in any capacity. Now, there is a further one that says the fund shall not invite loan recovery efforts until 2 years after the completion of the National Youth Service Corps program. Now, many persons will ask Evelyn, Tobi, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Will say, okay, the loan recovery effort shall not start until 2 years after NYSC. And there is a part that says the loan will be recovered immediately the person starts working. So if the person doesn't have a job 2 years after NYSC, so what happens? But that is even post. But with some of these bottlenecks that have been removed, are you satisfied as a prospective beneficiary, or you still have some issues with some of the conditions here?
Yeah, like I said, you know, the removal of some of these bottlenecks is actually what makes this reenactment, promising, because there were just too many hurdles that many Nigerians felt that were very, very unnecessary. You know, but in fact, one of the things that was of concern to even students then was, some of these conditions about looking for a level 14 officer, and then some of these things the letter has to come directly from our vice chancellor and all of those. So, I mean, we're happy that, these bottlenecks and then these conditions in the 2023 Act have actually been removed. I think that's what makes the bill, promising and all of that. But away from all of these things, again, the major concern, once again, is implementation. We've had so many beautiful initiatives, in the country, even away from the education sector. But how has the implementation failed? I feel like that is the fear currently, and we can only hope in a country of ours. We can only hope we get this right, because it is one initiative that is going to change the education sector as far as special education system is concerned, going forward. So we can only just that implementation goes right. But if you are to judge by the antecedents and all of these things, I mean, there are so many beautiful initiatives with that makes access easier to Nigerians. By the end of the day, the implementation falls short of the initiative. So we are hoping that the federal government gets it right, and then ensures that implementation gets down to to the last student that request for this loan to be able to access tertiary education.
All right, Tobi, thank you so much. It's like you are happy about this novel initiative, but then you still have your doubts about the implementation because of the Nigeria factor. We call it the Nigeria factor here. But I'll pause on you and go to Gbemisola. We still have Gbemisola on board. Are you with us, Gbemisola? All right, let's just stick with Tobi for now while we try to reconnect with Gbemisola. So, Tobi, let's talk about how the educational institution themselves. We know what goes down when probably you want to do any documentation in school. How strenuous it is, how stressful it is. If you want to do your clearance in 100 level, how stressful it is. If you want to get a file from a particular faculty or department, how stressful it is. Now, this student loan, it's going to go across board. Now the bottlenecks have been removed, and we have most of the students eligible for this student loan. Coming to the educational institution, the universities themselves, the polytechnics themselves, do you think they are ready for this student loan scheme when it comes to the issue of data and also ensuring that everything is done appropriately?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is another big worry, and it has to be looked into holistically, and then the federal government needs to come up with a very good plan to ensure that institutions are able to, work together with the MEL fund now to ensure that, like I said, because if the care is not taken, when it gets down to the tertiary institutions effective some of these changes, and the way we know some of these tertiary institutions are structured, if care is not taken, some students will end up missing the loan, or missing the time frame for them to access the loan and use it to pay school fees in their respective schools. Because the issue of handling data, paperwork, and all of that. Because as much as I will clamor, for most of these things to be digitalized and all, it still need to come down to the schools to require, a document for every major thing that you do, even after, making some effort digitally, right, to process, payments and all of that. You still need, paper in so many schools. So, for example, in my school now, I usually to pay your school fees and then afterwards, at a later time, you can do documentation. But I'm sure that in some other schools, even after doing the digital, payments and all of that for the school fees and other fees that are applicable, you still need to go through a rigorous process of, documentation, which, begs the question for most Nigerian students, why exactly do you digitalize this process? Why do you have to, come 18 after going through the digital process? So things are also there. So I don't know if now fund will create set a system and make it very easy and make this a stress-free process both on the part of the tertiary institutions and then the students to ensure that we do not have a big issue on our hands. So because if care is not taken, some institutions will end up performing very well, and then some institutions will lag, behind greatly. So maybe now fund we have to ensure that some infrastructures are, provided or something, just to ensure that we do not have a lot of bottlenecks after commencing, the conditions and making, access for students easy. So we don't get to the part of initiating and implementing at school level, get to that part where we have another issue on our grants. And I'm also sure that the president wants to overly avoid that issue at that particular level, because before what most schools will end up doing is if they do not see that the payments have been made or anything, or it is being processed or something, students will not definitely have access to that section and all of that. It will deem as if they have not paid the school fees and all of that. So we just hope and ensure that some of these things are factored in, and then the NEL fund works, or maybe through an orientation program or something for all of the tertiary institutions to understand the process very well and ensure they do not fail at their part.
All right, well taken, Toby. Now let's talk about some concerns from the student body. While they were in that committee trying to work out the scheme, they mentioned that there is need to make provisions for grant, not just loans. Like we should have grants, student grants, grants for students, not just loans. I'd like to take your impression about that. They say we are more Oliver Twist in this part of the world. We always ask for more. Now, student loans, student grants, what's your take on this? Do you think the federal government should also put in work to ensure that we have student grants, especially for students that you can consider from the low cadre, economically?
Yes, I absolutely, agree with that. And grants should not even just be made available for the best students. Grants should also be made available for indigent students as well. Even at the student association level, I had a student leader in my school. I know how much student unions across the school faculties and departments rally around themselves to create a grant system, or to create grants rather from different sources to ensure that we help indigent students and all of that. Because at the same time, as much as we want to provide interest-free loan, we should also really try to make provisions for grants and ensure that it's like a separate trust fund that comes in every year that students can see, because it goes a long way in also reducing the debt on students actually. So there can be different ways to go about it to ensure that quite a number of students have access to these grants as well. And like I said once again, the grants should not just be made available for the best students. but also for indigent students as well, or students that that also need this grant to also have a relief of the tests that they are going every year and all of that. Because the truth of the matter is, we are in a system, we are in a country where unemployment is at an all-time high. And, even after leaving school, the new, the reenactment talked about, after 3 years. So, I mean, we have many graduates that 10 years after graduation, they're here to get a job. So they're going to get a meaningful job. And then the reenactment talked about no matter the work that you get after 2 years, a deduction will be made. So what was the minimum wage currently? So and then when any graduate gets any job, let's say any 30,000 at the end of 2 years after waiting for a job, that meager amount, that meager salary is going to be deducted, and then that goes on for a while. But introducing grants along the way, we also have a way of reducing debts from students, and then it goes a long way to also help the system overall, because we still need to work on rising unemployment rate, because the job is not hard there even after we are done. So if care is not taken, we'll be left with frustrated graduates who, are doing everything possible to pay their loans. And if the care is not taken, what case we may have, a big issue at our hands, like at the other day. So it's very important that this grant is introduced, it cushions the effect, and it goes a long way in passing the whole system altogether.
Okay, what about the punitive measures that have been put in place for defaulters? Jail term, do you think it's extreme? Especially with what you've said about the high rate of unemployment and, someone finishing school and not able to get job. Of course, we know the bottlenecks, the repayment method has been looked into and it has been rejected. But then there are people that will finish school, and the job that they get, it's not commensurate with who they are as graduates, if you understand what I'm saying. So the punitive measures now, jail term, do you think it's extreme, or do you think it's just okay? Because we know in this part of the world, we like to collect, but paying back is always an issue.
I think honestly that should actually be reviewed, because as an ordinary Nigerian, as a Nigerian citizen, I mean the present of course the punitive measure to me, I don't know how I take it, because what about the punitive measures for corruptions and civil servants, political office holders, and all of that? At the end of the day, becomes laughable. At the end of the day, a lot of people go away with all of it, and there's no till all of this is going on regarding corruptions and all of that. So, I mean, and you are bringing in, this, I feel like it's too hard to be reviewed 3 years for, because, I mean,
what do you think will be a better, what do you think will be a better punishment for defaulters if you think jail term is extreme?
I think it should come with conditions.
Like?
If after maybe 5 years, the getting work or any minimum wage of tracking amounts and stuff over the years, and it should come with that kind of conditions. After 5 years, after 10 years, you're unable to pay or default. It should be clear. Then some of these measures should not be introduced after a particular time frame. But
all right.
I mean, if the police measure just begins almost immediately when Nigerians, graduates get a job, I feel like it is too harsh, and that may not actually be practicable, and
all right.
end up causing a lot of problems, because, like I said, the job thing, and even jobs that graduates get, like just when you said. Not what the qualifications that they have and all of that. So most of these jobs that graduates do are jobs that they are just trying to make ends meet and all of that. So I feel like conditions should be attached to
Tobi.
measures. So That's actually, yeah.
Yeah, there are conditions, and you know, I'll just read it out, and after that, we'll go on this break. We'll come back to continue the conversation. And according to the brief, please listen, and you know, to our distinguished audience as well, the fund shall not initiate loan recovery efforts until 2 years after the completion of the National Youth Service Corps, that's the NYSC program. And he stated that the beneficiary may request an extension of enforcement action by the fund by providing a sworn affidavit indicating that he is not employed in any capacity and he is not receiving any income. Evelyn, that's a condition, meaning if you don't want the government to come first, you must provide, you know,
and evidence of not being
evidence
employed.
that you are not yet to any thing where they are and you know if you work for now. And he pointed out that any person who provides a false statement to the fund under this section is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 3 years. So these are the conditions. And of course, the fund will forgive the defaulter in the event of death or act of God causing inability to repay. They said act of God who will, you know, decide what is act of God. But please, Tobi, stay online with us. We connect with you again. We'll go on this break. We'll be back. All right, it's the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, and we're talking about the student loan scheme. And I understand Gbemisola Aluko is here with us. Gbemi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, Tobi, are you there as well?
I'm with you.
All right, thank you. I'll go with you now, Gbemisola. I was asking about your assessment of the whole scheme, the former and the review of the bill that has just been enacted, repealed and enacted yesterday. What's your assessment, Gbemisola?
Okay, so I think it's a good one if it can be followed to the letter, because if we are to be truthful with ourselves, there are so many students in school struggling to, fund their education, pay tuition fees, and the stuff like that. So this is just a way to help the students and to relieve the parents also of the stress and struggle of having to sort for their school fees, watch school fees from different means and things like that. So also the various requirements that was added before, the conditions and things like that, it has been removed and some has been made lenient. Just like I think they said both parents' combined income for the family must be below 500,000 naira annually. And also, they made mention of some guarantors they will need, level 12, level 12 and above civil servants, and things like that. And I just saw that everything like that has been, reviewed and made easy for students to be able to access the loan easily. So let's just say if this is not changed again, because we are in Nigeria, anything can change. The thing was being a twinkle of an eye. So if this process is not changed and is being pushed just like it has been released, I think it's a good one. At least there will be no limitations of, though there will still be limitations, because the truth is not everyone can access that loan. It's not everyone that can be granted the loan, but at least the few people that would have access to the loan, they would be able to make good use of it. And they will know that it is just after they finish school, go for service, they are employed, and then they can start paying back at their own convenient time.
All right.
So,
Yeah. By the way, and I think that's a challenge because as far as the conditions in that scheme is concerned, you are not to pay at your convenient time. You don't choose the time to pay. You start.
it was after 2 years. It said
Yeah.
after 2 years, but I read that they made amendments that what if the person in question is not employed within that 2 years yet?
Yeah.
So I think amendment has been made that though they have to pay, but their income will be monitored to see if they have a job and they can pay back after that 2 years.
Right.
And if they cannot after that 2 years, if they don't have a stable job,
Yeah.
it can still be extended for them.
Yeah, that's right. You are perfectly right. Because one of the conditions is after graduation, after the NYSC, the person can pay up. He or she has to seek for an, extension of the payment period, in as much he or she can confirm that yes, he or she doesn't have a kind of job that can pay back that loan now. Now, let's look at the workability, and I'm staying with you, Gbemisola. One will say, for what we know, especially here in Nigeria, some of us have good intention. There are many persons that doesn't have good intention. There might be many persons who doesn't really need that loan because possibly their parents are capable, who will just want to, feel like they are enjoying something from the government, who sees it as a largesse. And many persons have been saying, if, as you are here, how will you want the mode of payment to be? Should it be paid to the individuals now that you don't need a guarantor in the new bill that has just been signed yesterday? You don't need a guarantor. All you need is for your identity to be confirmed that yes, you are who you say you are and you're in that particular school. Now, there might be students who might want to access that loan without the consent of their parent, without the consent of their guarantor. So how should this be done now that you don't need a guarantor, you don't need a parent? Should it be paid to the student account or to the school's account, or that the students you apply through the school? Before you connected back, Tobi, your co-discussant here, talked about, the bottlenecks within the school. If the school will be used as the platform for seeking this loan that we are talking about, what do you think the ideal workability should be?
Okay, so I would just say, just like this scholarship stuff is done, when they give someone scholarship, I don't think they give the money to them directly like that. They will just say, okay, this is the school you want to go to, I would pay to the school. So I think that should be the means to be used. The student just has to provide necessary and concrete evidence of being a student of this school, and the school has to confirm also that the person is their student. And then they will have to pay straight to the school's account just for him to find a way to just get the receipt out if it is needed for him later. So I think giving the money to the students directly, it would make them use the funds, like if it can cause the students to use the funds in the wrong way. For example, someone that is giving money for tuition fee might just have some little things that he has to do with money, and it will just be like, okay, I can still remove from this money, I can still use this money. But if the money is paid directly to the school's account, it will just mean that his tuition fee has been offsetted and he does not have to worry about that again, not that he will have to be the one to pay by himself. So I think doing this, they'll be able to fish out who really needs the funds.
All right. And as it stands, we learned that the loan scheme is to cover tuition. I'm not sure, I stand to be corrected. Tuition and maybe a few other things.
I can't tell you, please.
All right, so can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, now we learned that the loan scheme, this particular one, is to cover tuition, more like school fees only. Now, there are other fees that are paid by students in different school faculty, departmental, library, and some of those things. Do you think it's enough that the scheme is only to cover tuition, or you'll have preferred that it should cover everything about the student in question?
Well, in my own opinion, I would say the loan covering the tuition fee alone is still fair enough. It is fair enough because at least though there are other fees, all those fees they are not really heavy like that, and there are even some fees that they have been added to the school fee already. To the tuition fee in most schools it is not so high like that. There's all those little maybe departmental money and medical things like that that are added up to make up the tuition fee. So the only thing left would be acceptance fee, maybe getting an apartment, just few handouts and things like that. So I think the loan covering the tuition fee aspect alone, I think it's fair enough.
All right, so Gbemisola, just before we move over to Tobi, are you concerned that this student loan scheme might give room for schools to further hike their fees because they know, oh, the government is the one paying now. For the meantime, the students will be getting a loan. So there will not be issues of students crying out that they cannot afford to pay fees. So are you scared or concerned or worried, whichever one it is, that some schools might take this as a way or means, an excuse to further hike their fees, when we know that not all students will be able to access? I mean, you also said it that it will not, or it may not go round. So there are students that, as much as they would love to access this student loan, they may not be fortunate enough to access it. So are you worried that the schools might actually toe in this line, given that we now have a student loan?
I don't think I have something like that has crossed my mind. Though presently the tuition fee in most schools has been hiked, like it has been increased. Though, and with this student loan, I think it's just to ease that burden. So maybe hiking the tuition fee again, I don't think that can happen. I'm not sure, but I don't think that should happen. So I'm not so concerned about that. I don't think it can happen.
All right, thank you, Tobi. I would also like your take on that. What do you think? Do you think this might actually cause most schools to further increase their fees because they know it is government that will pay for the students?
Yeah, thank you. You know, I mentioned it at the start of this interview that's also one of my biggest worries. Now, the federal government used to rein in on schools as a way to checkmate and ensure that they do not see this as an opportunity to keep hiking the price of school fees, because even before the the bill came into effect, we've had virtually all state and federal schools, institutions increasing school fees as far as 400%. That high. So. And I hope this will not be an excuse or an opportunity for them to see this as a new special thing, because of course there's the student loan, so of course we can. So I hope that Nelson and then the school or the Ministry of Education ensure that this does not happen across schools, ensure that school fees are somewhat regulated, and the schools do not see it as an opportunity to hike, tuition fees at every given time.
All right, thank you so much. Since you're here, I'd just like to get your take on what's going on right now in the different educational institution, universities to be precise. SANU, NASU on strike. Presently, lots of schools are, not working. I mean, the schools are closed, so to speak. As a student, how do you feel that there is still this break in your educational journey?
Okay, so are you talking about the national service, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so just like the other union, ASU and all of that, I enjoined the federal government to listen to their demands, find a way to work around it, ultimately their demands. Their demands are legitimate, just find a way to work around it. Because when I read some of their demands and what they're asking for, been long overdue, so the government should sit up and, attend to their demands. Their actions are actually, disturbing, access to, lectures and all of that because, they, of course, are the non-academic staff and they have their way of, causing a delay due to their strike in one way or the other, and it's already affecting. I couldn't go to school 2 days ago to attend lectures because the school gates were locked and some of these facilities that we have access to were not, in operation. So I enjoined the federal government to not only listen to their demands, ASUs and also other unions, so that we can have, a process of enjoying academic and so that we can graduate in time.
All right, Tobi, let me take you back to where we started from the student loan, and I'll take this as your parting shot before I come to Gbemisola there. It stated that in the same loan scheme, the condition says that any person who provides a false statement to the fund under this section is guilty of a felony and is liable to imprisonment for 3 years. Fair enough?
Going over it again, I do not think it's a lot. Why do you have to provide a false statement?
Yeah.
That is definitely against the law, and I feel that the Act also states expressly that only if you come forward with a false statement will you be guilty of felony and liable to 3 years of imprisonment. So I feel it's a good one for that.
All right, thank you very much. Tobi Olanipekun, a student of Federal University of Technology, Akure of FUTA. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. And good morning.
All right, to Gbemisola, are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Same question. Any student who provides false information is liable to go to jail for 3 years. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, I think it is because at least before you get the loan, you know what you're getting yourself into. You read the condition and you know every details about it before applying for it. So you being granted that loan, you should know what you're getting yourself into. And if you know that you cannot meet up with the conditions, why go into it?
All
So
right.
I think it's fair enough.
All right, Gbemisola Aluko Cecilia of the Federal Polytechnic. Thank you for your time and your take. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
You're welcome. And it is what it is. Good to note that the two of them said you should know what you are getting into. Yeah. This is not a lagis. This is not a national cake that you think this is my time to have a share. You better count the cost, the right division, and make it plain. That's what the Bible said. But then life happens. By the way, life happens. But life will not happen to you, and you explain it away to you supplying false information in the first place.
I mean, for every actions, there are consequences, and you should be able to trust the consequences of your actions when they come. And for the student loan scheme, I hope it will not go in the way of the anchors borrower scheme that we had earlier on. The government should be on this. They should work out the modalities and ensure that they have crossed their T's, dotted their I's, and they are ready to pull this through. It's not just about coming up.
Stressful.
Exactly. It's not just about coming up with schemes and all of that. The stress is not only, we are not going to just talk to the federal government, we'll also talk to the university community, we'll also talk to the students to ensure that they let this have a smooth sail and let Nigeria walk forward.
Yes, we must go.
Yes, we must go. Thank you so much for being a part of our world on Morning Spring today. It's been a wonderful conversation, especially with Tobi, Olanipekun, and Gbemisola Aluko. Thanks to them. You can watch a recap of this particular broadcast on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. Would also like to get your feedback, what you think about the student loan scheme. You can drop your comments there. And on different social media platforms, Instagram, X, and Facebook, you can connect with us on Western Spring Television. My name is Evelyn. Ohiolei, and Nigeria will work, will perform, will succeed.
Amen. Amen. The prophetess has said so, and I'm saying a very big amen. Femi is my name. See you tomorrow, God willing. Bye.